And that is the biggest challenge, I think, for every human, to just keep your mind as healthy as possible, as positive as possible, and then just release to greater powers, right? And think that there is goodness in this world of which I might still not know of, but I know there has been goodness around me throughout my life. And just I plug back into that and I remember, these beautiful deeds that people did for me or for others, like my maestro and other people, my teachers, my tutors throughout my life, co-workers, everywhere you go. If you start plugging in and remembering there is these beautiful people and we all go through challenges, just
Good morning, Maggie. It's so great to meet you here on Zoom.
Good morning, Petra. Thank you so much for interviewing me. It's so good to meet you. I love what you're doing with this channel.
Thank you so much. And it's morning there in Los Angeles where you are?
Yes, ma'am. It is morning.
Wonderful.
You can hear, I don't know if you can hear that. It's downtown LA. So.
Oh, really? Oh, amazing. I've never been there, so it's great to hear something from LA. But Maggie, you are not originally from LA, you're from Mexico.
That is correct. I came about 17 years ago.
Wow,
and
a long time.
It's been a really interesting journey.
Yeah. But I always, when I hear somebody's from Mexico, I think of this, I spoke to a tenor, Herman Olvera. He's not a tenor, he's a baritone. And he told me, he's a Mexican baritone, and he told me about the tradition of serenading. And I was so intrigued with that he told me, that I always wonder if somebody's from if a girl's from Mexico, has she been serenaded?
Oh my God, it's one of the most beautiful things. You know how music by itself, I mean, we already know this day and age is more popular to talk about this kind of things, the vibration of music, how it raises spirits. And I mean, music, even if it was ill-intended, it's funny. But music, it's funny, makes you laugh. But then when it comes to romantic music, in the middle of the night, being awakened by this amazing melodies, and then open the window and see your love down there with this enamored face. Oh my God, and those gorgeous lyrics. That's how my father serenaded my mother. That was
really
big back then, those traditions, yes.
But I find it so beautiful, and that the music tradition is something very dear to Mexico.
Yes, indeed, it is. And a beautiful thing is that it's still it's not only for romance, the serenades. It's not only for ask for forgiveness or for couples. No, it's also for birthdays, for anniversaries. It's the serenade is really, really beautiful tradition. And then music, I mean, we have had amazing composers. Now I have been listening a couple of months ago and downloaded a few music, some tracks from the golden era of the cinema, and the violins are amazing. It's just gorgeous music throughout our story of the cinema, and throughout, I mean, we have amazing musicians. And I was very, very blessed to be taught by a maestro who was going to be a priest. And he was just teaching kids everywhere he could. And then he got married. He didn't continue his priesthood. You know how they gave them a year to try out, just live, try and date and see if they can get married. And then he got married.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But then he continued his work, his good work. I mean, his good teachings through his musical work throughout the years for generations and generations. People used to ask him, "Are you alive or are you a mummy?"
Oh, really?
Older.
So you, because you, I read that you are also, that you sang opera. So were you taught then by him?
That's right. But it was initially it was a hobby. I'll tell you the story if I can make it as short as possible. It's a long story. I was in junior high school, and it was one of those days when you used to a teacher didn't show up, and they say, "Okay, kids, you're free to go home. Just make sure you go home." And a little friend of mine and I, we were like, "Yeah, sure." We skipped, instead of telling our parents, we went to another junior high school to see the cute boys. And we were so young and so naive. It was our first time getting on the public transportation. We went across town, and it was such an adventure. Well, that school was a well-to-do school and way bigger than ours. And we arrived precisely while they were doing recess. And there was a lot of people, a lot of kids, a lot of excitement. And then we lost one another. We got separated. And it was so hard to just find one another ever again. But I remember exploring the classrooms, and everything was so beautiful, and making friends left and right. And then I stumbled upon this beautiful music classroom. And I heard the music from my father. My father used to play every Sunday with his friends and our relatives, this beautiful music from the golden era, classical, orchestras, swing, everything. And my siblings were way older than me, 10, 15 years older than me. So I would be the little one that, sit in the corner, just listening and watching the adults having fun and laughing. And so when I stumbled upon this music class room, and I saw kids at that point, my age, who were singing this very, very old music, it was my very first time listening to this live. And it just swept me off the floor. The maestro was so funny, but still, he would discipline with just one look, right? And then the choir had this beautiful voice. It was a small a camera orchestra, and they were singing all of this beautiful music. Then when they finished the rehearsal, the maestro with 3 sopranos, they went to the next door building, and these ladies, they were in high school already, and they didn't know, but I just followed them. I was fascinated, and then I'm looking and I'm watching their rehearsal, and they were doing these beautiful vocalizations. Again, something I had never experienced. They were singing so beautiful. Their voices, their color was just gorgeous, and they were vocalizing. And then they started rehearsing this aria, and they were nervous and they were laughing. And the maestro was telling them, "You are nervous because of limiting belief systems." So the way he used to say it was, "You have birds inside your head, darling." He said, "You have like loud birds, noise."
Yeah.
And then he said, "Just watch this kid that doesn't know anything. She's going to be able to do it like nothing." And he said, "Hey, you kid by the window, come over here." And I was like, "Oh, whoops. What me?" It's like, "Yeah, yes, you. I've been watching you. Come over." And I go, "Okay." I went inside, and then he said, "Can you please repeat this? Have you ever played like imitating birds or the seagulls?" Because we are from Ensenada, Mexico, which is an amazing port. And he said, I'm like, yes, I do. I have, of course. "Okay, just let's play this game." I'm like, "Just repeat this sound that I make." And he played a few notes, and I repeated them. And then they look at each other. And then he plays some more. "Okay, repeat these other ones." And I did it. And so, long story short, I was able to sing that little cadence that they were rehearsing. And the maestro said, "See, she is not nervous. She's not scared. because she wasn't taught any of those fears, because they were nervous because they were studying one of the most beautiful and difficult arias from Mozart, the magic flute.
Okay. Mm.
And so that was the cadence. So a year later, I am singing with them. He said to me, I remember. Yes, he says, if you keep on coming and you're consistent, you're going to be able to sing like them. So he seeded my mind with such a beautiful expectation, like, me being able to sing like them. Wow. And I'm a little kid, right? It's like, really? Just keep on coming and study and just follow my instruction. And that's what he did. And I come from a very humble beginning. My family was very humble, but he would come to all of the neighborhoods around the area and pick us up and drive us in his little car, as many kids as he could.
Really?
And he would take us for breakfast. He never got paid. Okay. Throughout these years, he was just helping kids from all of the neighborhoods. And then
I get goosebumps when you tell that, but isn't it amazing that a teacher has that passion to do that for children, isn't it?
It's amazing. It's just beautiful. His work, his labor, his life work is just touched the hearts and minds of so many generations and changed our lives. Because if you think about it, I mean, I could have probably stayed in that very poor neighborhood and not experienced the beautiful life experiences that I have been so blessed with, because, traveling around, coming to Hollywood, jumping into the film industry, theater, modeling, all of those things was because of him, because of the things that he implanted in our heads while he was teaching us music. He would take us to the class, and then for the following 10 years, we were performing. So imagine, I gathered a new family, a bunch of friends. I belonged to an amazing group. So music at that time of my life was really, really, really important. And then that is how I transitioned into the film industry, into theater, because there was no theater music back then at the university. So I studied theater, and then I ended up coming here to pursue the career farther and farther and farther.
Amazing. But I've also spoken to some opera singers in South Africa or from South Africa, and they tell the same story of there was a choir master who started a choir, and they started going, and this love for music was instilled by one teacher, and isn't it so amazing how the impact that teachers have, if they are passionate, to create this passion and to instill this love for the arts in the children.
It is indeed amazing. It's really beautiful, and it's very powerful. I mean, the knowledge for music and the way music touches our hearts, but also the leadership that it takes to go and have this vision to teach kids, to implant these beautiful seeds in the minds of these kids. And it's just such a strength that music gives you, and so much beauty that these teachers, because when you think about it, and when you realize, oh, this person was doing this for the love of it, for the love of teaching, for the love of making the lives of others better, and through something that they love, I find that part of art being so, so beautiful, and the glue that holds humanity together and keeps us going. That is why when you invited me to come to your show, I thought, oh, what a beautiful show she's doing. Absolutely.
Well, this really is an extension of a project that I did during lockdown, where I photographed 500 artists in their windows here in Vienna. And by doing this project, what I really realized then was that there's something that art brings that not everybody is. I photograph professional musicians and actors and artists, but what I realized what they have is this determination, this self-motivation, this skill of overcoming hardship of just getting on with it, and that switch where hey, let's do it and let's get on with it. It's that comes from, I think, pursuing art. And I've just always, and this is why I speak to so many artists over the world, is because I want to make people understand that you don't necessarily have to become a professional artist, but you can acquire these skills by learning an art form. And what you are saying now, I'm sure not all the children that were taught by him became professional artists or musicians or singers, but what they gained from him was this way of thinking, like you said, the way of thinking, I can do it. And by practice and by hard work and by discipline, I can achieve anything.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I love the way you put it. And I love your photography, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Searching through all beautiful colors, but the expression, the soul that you capture, that is so beautiful. It's very important.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
But tell me about you talked about the film industry, and I know you did a documentary, or it's is it Altitude over Attitude? That was and I saw that, and amazing how that came about, that you had faith in this person that you did the documentary about. Tell me about this lovely documentary.
I met the amazing Michael Workington in my way back from a photo shoot. We were doing photos. This cinematographer, photographer, friend of a friend, wanted to do a film, but before he was going to do a short film proof of concept, and then he said, let's do some photos so I can measure your angles and the lighting, and then he says, on our way back, as he's driving us, he says, let's stop for 10 minutes because I need to see this guy and I would love to introduce you to. And at that point, I was not dating for like 5 years. I was so focused on my career. And I thought, oh my God, here we go again. No setting me up with people, boyfriends. No. And he said, no, seriously, you're actually going to like this person very much. If not, he said, just as a friend, because he's a very inspiring person. And I was, okay, then I thought, oh, I always up to meeting inspiring people. And so we went up to his building, a penthouse on the 11th floor. And then the elevator opens. And then there he is with these bright blue eyes and this beautiful energy about him. Well, the sunrise was hitting him too. He was such a happy person. And they were consulting about, he was a financial advisor, and the cinematographer, he needed some quick advice. And so indeed, it was a short meeting and so on. But then he showed me around a little bit about his art and his family's paintings. And he talked to me about visiting the city, invited me for dinner and so on. And he said, you have to do it quick because you have to come visit us back quick, because I am going on this trip to the Mediterranean. I am going on a cruise ship. And it's going to be in about 10 days or so. And I was like, his friend said, you need some model to take some pictures of you or something, because the people need to know how you are traveling, because he was a quadriplegic. He couldn't move from the neck down. And so I came back home, and then the next morning I woke up with this conviction. It has to be more than pictures. We have to do a TV series. We have to do something well done, so the world knows about his life story and his determination, precisely his discipline, his discipline of thought, in order to achieve everything that he had achieved. And so we had dinner the next night, and then we were talking about, like, what are, Michael, your plan for the following 5 years or 10 years? I mean, have you written any books? Have you done any public speaking? I mean, all of these things can be done. But most importantly, I think that a film will be more powerful in your case, since you like helping people. And then he says, Maggie, I'm set for life. My career as a financial advisor has really been very fruitful. He has worked so hard at that point, right? Michael is a man that at age 22 fell off 3 stories, broke his neck, and became a quadriplegic. But despite of that, he studied and he created a very beautiful life. He worked really, really hard and disciplined, with a lot of discipline, sorry. And he created a really beautiful life, right, for himself and a lot of people around him. And he was so funny and so joyous and so much fun to be around. So we ended up going on this trip with him. In 1 week, we went back and forth with contracts. In less than 10 days, I had to put a skeleton crew together to go with us on this cruise ship. I hired people in Europe. A dear friend of mine who was an amazing cinematographer that also joined us, flew from Paris into Spain and so on. And we were all over the place. And we filmed and filmed and filmed. And then I came back with so much material, 12 terabytes of filming and interviews, exploring his mind. So I made the film to be about the 5 phases of recovery through which we all go after experiencing trauma, and how to come back and stay productive and happy and reinvent yourself. And that documentary for me was such a career shifting, because it really awakened me in a way that I can truly this time, through art, help the life of others and inspire. And one thing that I know Michael was totally sold on is that a film makes you immortal. I asked him, so you really, really like helping people because you created your fortune through helping people better their lives, right? Well, guess what? A film is going to, even after you're gone, he passed away recently and was such a heartbreak and surprise for so many of us. But indeed, the film makes him go on and on and on forever. And his spirit, his joyfulness, and his example of life, that no matter what happens in life, you still can go on and figure out and change and still create and be of help to others and bring joy. And that's what the film is about. And it's been such an amazing experience.
Well, Maggie, this is really, but it's astonishing what you've done. But I can see that little girl who went to the classroom to look through the window and who was so inquisitive. And you took on this film. I mean, amazing. Did you have previous experience of was it daunting for you to think, you suggest a film for this person, and how did you go about doing that?
Great question.
Amazing.
I a big part of me, let's say a 90% part of me would say, like, I didn't know what in the world I was doing. But then another 10% of me, I was so serene and so confident, because at that point I was already had over 20 years as an actress, working in producing theater. In Mexico, I also produced opera concerts. So for me, it was about just putting the moving parts together and make them work, even though they're moving parts, the people's schedules. And then I just took it one step at a time. Because working as an actress in sets and reading and watching so many documentaries about the making of this film and making of this other film, or hearing the filmmakers speak in panels, or watching their videos on and on and on and on. And then, thank goodness now for technology, YouTube was an amazing teacher whenever I didn't know something. Like, what does this mean? Because there was a lot of tech stuff that I was not an expert. And then some people, I mean, I couldn't hire people because we were in the middle of the pandemic when we were editing, and we were just finishing when the first lockdown. Right. And then I went on the film festival circuit I just knew something that, you study filmmaking through books and through videos and all of that, right? And it's obviously very different when you actually are doing it. While doing it,
I can think.
you really learn. Yes. And so, just the learning the meaning of each shot, what is the emotional impact on the size of the shot and the depth and composition is a lot like photography. And it was so wonderful to finally get to do it, because when you are an actor for so many years, you can't stop but start directing in your head. When you are reading something, it's already speaking to you. You're reading this with images, and sometimes you just daydream, oh, how interesting, especially those that you're not going to work on those when you have the privilege of reading amazing materials, amazing plays or scripts that have been already written but haven't been done. So like, it is a great exercise for us actors, right? And so at that point, somehow in my mind, I already knew how to do it. But again, it was all in my mind. It was all in my head. At the time of doing it, I was like, what am I doing? Oh,
It's too late. Then it's too late to turn around and say no.
Exactly. And so it was just one step at a time. They say, how do you eat an elephant, right?
Yeah.
One bite at a time.
Yeah.
And the pandemic time, the lockdown was all about navigating the film festival circuit. And we got really beautiful response, because it was precisely a time where we needed hope, and we needed to tackle things however they came. And it was at that time, my mother had just died, my siblings' inheritance. It was so many things, so chaotic and sad and dramatic. And I was like, how interesting that the universe is putting in my lap this thing where my heart is being turned to pieces in so many directions. And here I am supposed to be inspired with this film. Oh, it was like, oh my God, it was just nuts, bananas. But I had to be very, very focused, because I had a commitment. He paid me to do the film of his life, and he liked my point of view, what the film was about, and that is what kept me going 100% of the time. What is the theme? What is it that you are, one sentence, what is it that you are trying to say with this film? And that was like a lighthouse. It just helped me stay very healthy, focused. Sometimes I slept very, very few hours, but I still had this beautiful energy. Because of, it was such a beautiful experience. Yes. Very humble and very grateful that I got to do it. Very humbling.
But you were the right person to do it, because it seems, and if I look at your career, you know, you're an actress, you sang, and you also you do so many things now. You're a producer and a director, and so you go through life thinking, I can do it. You have this very positive way of looking at it.
Thank you. Yes, you just have to do it. It's true. I mean, because it's his life, right? And it's beautiful. And us, as artists, we get to explore, and we are curious. I think that every human is very, very, very curious. And that is something that is really beautiful about us, because thanks to that curiosity, we have invented, and I say we have invented rocket ships and submarines that go to the bottom of the ocean, and we get to see these aliens in the bottom of the ocean. And then we get to cure diseases and invent things and invent the wheels, on and on and on and on and on, because of our curiosity. We wonder, like, how does this work? Oh, how interesting. And what if that was not ensemble with that? How would it work if it was different? And what would it create? And so on and on and on and on. And as artists, I think that we're very, very fortunate that we have that mindset, since because that kid inside of us and never can be shut down. We are always right? Admiring, like right now I'm admiring your hair, your makeup, your shirt, the beautiful colors and shapes, and how graciously you put it all together. It's just so, everything is art. Everywhere you look, it's just pure art, right?
Thank you so much for the kind words. But really, I admire you so much for how you do it, because you also came from Mexico to Los Angeles, which is a big step. I mean, I'm originally from South Africa, and I came to Europe, and I know it's not easy. You know, when where you grow up, you feel that's your roots, and it's easier to accomplish something there. But to go to a complete different country, it's also not easy to establish a career there. So, but you have been in Los Angeles for quite a while now, you say?
Yes, I have. I was too curious of a teenager, and I became a teen mother.
Oh, okay.
And so by the time I came here, I came as a single mother. And I think that I'm not advising anybody, any youngsters out there, to do it, okay? But I think that motherhood kept me very protective and very, very focused on, I gotta supply for my baby girl. I must protect her. I must give her a better education. I must go to wherever is the best place for her, where I think she's gonna have better opportunities and so on. And now I know that wherever we go, we should be able to create, and the obstacles are always going to be there.
Yeah.
As I put it on the film, limiting belief systems and this and that, but there is always a way. There is always a way to succeed. But at that point in my career in Mexico, I was at a point where I was either deciding to move to the big city or to come to the US. And when I went to the big city, things were just not working as easily as over here. People were inviting me to come here. I still didn't speak the language. So
Really?
I was doing commercials in Spanish. Yes. I did 2 films, and I had like 1 or 2 words in that film.
Okay.
But in those films, but my character was still important in a way that it's a person that had gone through the experience and then moved on. And then I learned so much from those films, and people here were amazing. Not that they were not wonderful in Mexico, but just the work-wise, they needed people who spoke Spanish here. And I was perfect for that, because my first language is Spanish. And yes, it was, just breaking through the Hollywood industry here was really challenging. It still is. It always will be.
I can imagine.
I think for everybody, even those that are on the top, nobody is essential, or nobody is. There is so much talent. Let's put it that way, and I think that is a wonderful thing. But in my case, it was really difficult because people couldn't understand my accent.
Oh, okay.
So it was, the casting directors was like, "What did you say?" We have to, learn the musicality of a language and learn the culture. What does it mean behind it? So it's fascinating when it comes to interpreting what things mean, and the play on words, as we do in every language, right? And so,
yeah.
But then I saw people like, Salma Hayek, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Penelope Cruz, and so on, whom have been so inspiring. And I kept on thinking, my time will come. My time will come. In the meantime, we can make something happen.
Exactly.
By ourselves.
Yeah, and like you say, everything you do in life, you learn something, and that takes you on the next journey, So I always believe then, even if it's a time where we have not so much going on, we create, we're always creating. So it's you have a wonderful, positive way of looking at it.
Thank you. Thank you. Not all the time, trust me. There are times where I have been in the dark zone, and I just keep on either praying, meditating, writing, okay, change the thought. It's just to stay. And that is the biggest challenge, I think, for every human, to just keep your mind as healthy as possible, as positive as possible, and then just release to greater powers, right? And think that there is goodness in this world of which I might still not know of, but I know there has been goodness around me throughout my life. And just I plug back into that and I remember, oh, you know, these beautiful deeds that people did for me or for others, like my maestro and other people, my teachers, my tutors throughout my life, co-workers, everywhere you go. If you start plugging in and remembering, there is these beautiful people, and we all go through challenges. Just watch your movie again.
Yeah.
And yes, because challenges are always going to come. And what doesn't change, I mean, that doesn't change. What change, it's our inner strength. It's our wisdom, I think, as artists, is how do we navigate through the challenges? We become just more solid, stronger. And we are reminded, you know, there is always a sunshine after a storm. So.
And I appreciate so much your honesty about this, because so many artists I talk to say also this, you know, they're honest about this, that sometimes, you know, it's difficult, and it's difficult to go through, and it's difficult to keep practicing or to keep doing what you're doing and believing in yourself. And sometimes it feels that nothing is happening, but you have to go through those moments of just pursuing what you believe in. And I think sometimes people don't, it looks all so glamorous and it looks as if everything fall into place so easily, but it doesn't for everybody. But it makes the journey worth it, you know?
It is, because then you look back and you think, would I do it all over again? Yes.
Really?
Is it worth it? It is always worth it, because you know that, well, life is always going to throw curveballs. People are going to die left and right. You're going to lose, you know, the big projects in which you're working, or the things that are really making your heart tick are going to either go, disappear, or something. Hurtful, humongous things that you think are bigger than you are going to happen always, 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 always. But again, we just must remember just to breathe, because sometimes we have to do what is under your control. There are many things in life that we cannot control. We all are here together in the same boat, no matter what. But there are many things sometimes that we just don't know that we don't know.
No, that's true. Yeah.
And things are going to happen. And so we have to just do as much as we can with what it is within our control. And sometimes maybe it's just breathe, be grateful that you're alive.
Exactly.
And that you have this one moment, and we are here in the eternal now, being grateful, and this too shall become art.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true words you're speaking. But now you have worked now in front of the camera and also behind the camera. So which do you prefer? Or do you like both?
That is so hard to tell, because this it's just so different. It's like saying, what do you prefer, an orange or an apple? It's just, I love them all. Because see, when I was working on the documentary, and after that I did I was hired to do a pilot called Street Living, and it won a bunch of awards, and it was so beautiful to save time and money. I cast myself as a small role.
Oh, okay.
and it was just beautiful, because it was a beautiful cause as well. And so I was so focused on directing and creating all of these beautiful forms and shapes and telling a story through visuals. It was so beautiful. Storytelling is fantastic. But then these past 2 years, I have been so focused on business and finances, on being a producer and putting together all the elements and understanding percentages and understanding who gets what and when and who puts how much and when and contracts and learning so much. That has been empowering, fun, but not obviously as fun as being an actor, because when you're an actor, you don't have as much responsibilities of those kind of things.
Oh, yeah.
When you are working in a very small budget thing, like the pilot, when you have to be the producer and be the director and be the actor, you're wearing so many hats. It's obviously more stressful because you have to be capable of, like the surfers, right? You stay under your feet and keep your creativity flowing while you are being as prepared as possible, because the more prepared you are, then the more you have to hold on from when you have to be creative, when then you can get loose and be creative. and so when then this particular year 2023, I had like 7 gigs, and I was not so worried about knocking on doors or just following up with casting directors and new relationships and all of that kind of administrative work that an actor has to do in order to get more booking. No, just between connections and friends, like, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? So I was acting, and it was so much fun. And it was so interesting. It was so fantastic. I was like, oh, yay. I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about that. So it's really, really hard to say which one you like most. I think that after producing Deep Echo, this upcoming film, in which I am going to be the actress, I am producing it, then, but I'm setting everything ready to be in the hands of the right people whom I admire very much and have done this over 10 times and have been super successful. So I know that we are in good hands, right? So then I can do my work as an actress. And a lot of actors do that. People are like telling me, oh, you do so many things. I'm like, that's not true. Actors do all of that all the time. You have to.
Really? So are you a good businesswoman then, or are you interested in business, the business side of things? Because you seem to have a lot of organizational skills as well.
I do, but I don't consider myself yet a very good businesswoman because I am very new.
Okay.
I am very, very new, and I think that for that, I do, and I learned so much from Michael about this as well. And I do have observed throughout my life, not only through my own experiences in my work, but the work of others. And when everybody is well taken care of, when everybody is paid the right way, what they deserve, and so on, and you're fair and just and do good by everybody, then you're gonna have an amazing product, amazing service, and so on. And I think that's good business practice. And I think that if you live your life with high values, you have good models, then you can be a really good business person. And I don't like my actors to never get paid. For example, when I'm filming as a director, or my friends to, maybe I pay the expensiest ones, maybe I pay them deferred, like in parts, right? I don't owe anybody. I pay all the time. It's very important. Even if it takes me longer to pay, but I think that is very, very important. And to be business savvy, and I think it's also to have the vision for how much can this benefit how many.
Yeah.
And I think that is an important element too of any kind of business. Like, how far can this product or service go? Is this the right product or service? Like, for example, when I am picking the scripts that I am reading that people sent me to consider for producing or directing and so on, it's like, how far can this can this go? How much money can it make for the people that are invested in it? And then, I mean, is it really going to be impactful in which way? Is it going to be deterrent in some other way? So those kind of things are very, very important. And I think that if we all care for each other in the world, then you're doing good business, right? But it's a business, so it's a show business. You have to be very, very mindful. First of all, what the marketing is going to be, what is the money that people are going to make, and how are you going to triplify their money? Because if you're not going to triplify the money, then it's not even time to consider that at all. Yes.
But when do you go with your head and when do you go with your heart?
Well, it depends. How am I invited?
Okay.
Right. If I am invited as an actress, then I look at it and I think, okay, is this a job that is going to, it's in alignment with my life message, with my my brand and all things that I care about. Right. If I am invited as a producer or to advise as a producer, then I totally go numbers,
Oh,
right?
really?
And statistics and so on. And then if I invited as a director, woohoo! Then I see, okay, but how are you going to market this? How is it going to be helpful, useful? What's the artistic point? So I think that I have my heart in it all the time. Because if I don't have my heart in it, then there has been projects to which people have invited me with really good pay, really, really good pay, and they had huge financing and stars and all of that. But the story or the characters were like there was a character not long ago, and this happens twice, kind of very close to each other, where the character was very diminishing for females and and for Hispanics and I don't like separation. I don't like that kind of thing, and I decided that I had to pass on and say no, thank you, but thank you.
Really? Yeah. So you're strong in that sense where you think, no, I'm standing with what I believe, and I don't play those parts.
Well, yes, because I mean, we all as humans, we all experience all as actors, and we have to recognize that we all experience all kind of feelings, and we can be like we can portray anything and everything, and it's beautiful to get to showcase your versatility, right? But when it comes to what is the impact, like what are they? Because I have done all of that already. I've been the villain, I have been the bad girl, the sultry, all of that
Okay, yeah.
But right now it's like, what are my little nieces going to see? What are the kids are going to see? Is it really going to be useful at all? Is it, and even though I was needing the money, I was like, no, that's when I mentioned the role to a few of the people, it's like, what? I mean, no, this is, I think that it's important to know what you like and to know what your soul calls for, and yes, this is important because as artists, I mean, nobody is going to hurt you but yourself.
Yeah, but I think that's integrity, to decide this is not, because art needs to have an impact, and if you are not willing to have a negative impact by what you are doing, I think it's integrity that you say no to roles like that.
That's right. Yeah, you have to protect the children, you have to protect yourself, you have to protect females, you have to protect, when it comes to going into things that are like, ouch, it's like, what's the point? It just does. It's hilarious.
Yeah. But can you see now, when you look back, can you see how this little girl who looked through the window and everything that happened afterwards, can you see how the path, how everything connected with each other?
That's a great question, Petra. Sometimes it takes me some time.
Oh, okay.
takes me a bit. And then sometimes I realize, oh, thank you. Those were masters. Those people, those situations, these and that were just teaching me things. And yes, um, she lives with me, like with all of us, constantly. I have a big picture, actually, this big. And I
Really?
see her every morning and see, you know, I think that we all artists have to remain mindful of those things, how everything it's connected in one way or another. Everything it's beautifully connected. And I have been learning throughout these last 5 years so much about divine timing and developed so much patience, precisely. And although I have been in dark spaces, in dark places, with so much depression and sorrow, and didn't get to say goodbye to Michael. Like from 1 week to another, he was not there anymore, and
That's
Michael was
so
so
sad.
different. Yes, and he was so dear for me. But now I have that movie, right? That and all my notes I have this much, and so on, and that teach you and reminds you. It's like, it's so interesting. And then a friend of mine gave me this beautiful book that was so healing, and it's fascinating how the art of other people just makes you understand other things, and so on and on and on, and in one way or another they were connected. And I just thought it was so magical. I mean, that weekend I remember I went to a gallery. It was a painter's exposition, and the colors and then his name keep on popping up everywhere. And I was like, oh wow, it's like you're here. So
amazing.
And so yes, that little girl is very happy for all of the connectivity all around, understanding the meaning of things. It's been a trip. It's been a really nice journey. And so I think that it's a journey that keeps on going as long as you are, like you said, have a mental positive attitude about things.
Yeah.
As a challenge.
No, I really think you have an amazing that personality to just get on with it and do it. And how you told me also how you got to do the film as well. I think it's wonderful and great that you saw that needed to be made, and it not just to be pictures, but that it needed to be a film. It's amazing that you could have that intuition to do it, and look, now it is. Now you have captured his life, and it's forever there for people to learn from.
That's right. It's for people to learn from. And then I think I know some art it's just for entertainment and to awaken people in one way or another, such thrillers and horror, and it's really, we all need that kind of entertainment, right, to get you going. But then some of us we come from these neighborhoods where we already have that. Now I want some peaceful, some different, more lighter entertainment, and that's what this film I saw it as being. Instead of being so dark, because you turn on the news and I'm not criticizing, I just know that that's how it is, right? You turn on the news and it's just, for us as actors, plenty to cry about. I just think about it, turn on the news and then just watch for 5 minutes. Oh my God, what is going on out there in the world?
So this is really, but this is really inspirational. It's really a beautiful that you put it all together. But Maggie,
the films that I want to do are precisely about that, and that's precisely the film in which I am working on right now. It's really educational in many ways, and it's really beautiful. But this is narrative; it's not a documentary. And for this film, just being a producer and actors. Anyway, you were going to ask me something.
No, but tell me about this. So I wanted to ask you now, what is the future? What is the wish? And tell me, what is the wish for this new film of yours?
The wish for this new film is to educate a lot of kids and young adults and the ones, older adults that are in charge of things right now, to see how much beauty there is in this world that we need to preserve. Not only the ruins, the historical ruins, such the Mayan ruins, but life below water is so important. It's so important because it helps the following life, but it's not below the water, and then the life in land and so on, to keep our planet and to cause a positive impact in climate change. It all starts from the bottom of the ocean. And then this film, it's a science fiction adventure film. It's about this wonderful adventurous, fearless scientist who goes to investigate a mysterious pyramid hidden in the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. But she gets trapped in her floated artificial intelligence capsule. And while trying to survive, she makes the greatest of human discoveries. And this film, we have been already in conversations with a couple of A-listers, an amazing director, and it's very, very close to start into production. We pitched an American film market. After this, I'm going to have a meeting with an amazing distributor, and I'm very, very excited about this. It's acting-wise, it has an amazing trip. So much to go through. It's really, really beautiful, and it will keep you at the edge of your seat.
Oh, really?
And wonderful. I mean, you imagine the life below water with those luminescent creatures and this fauna and this flora is just gorgeous. Yes, it's going to have a little bit of CGI and so on, special effects. And I have an amazing team that has been helping me put this together. The team behind the scenes and the numbers and all of this, that's been the biggest challenge for me, understanding the business side of the business, which is, just putting it together. Fantastic, right? And so right now, a wonderful thing that has recently happened that I'm very grateful and very excited to share with you and your amazing audience is that we are now fiscally sponsored by an amazing organization called Creative Visions. Okay. And this means that people can also donate to our film fund and get
this is nice. Yeah.
Gets tax write-offs. Yes. And then by supporting our film fund, they also support other artists' projects, which are also meaningful and pro-humanity. All of the projects that are being fiscally sponsored by Creative Visions organization, not plural, are in alignment with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And
amazing.
Yes, and this is really, really, really important. And I am so grateful that they are sponsoring my project and that they like Deep Echo. And everybody can find more information on deepechomovie.com or go to our social media pages, deep.echo.movie.
Okay. I'm going to put it in the description of the video so that people can find. But isn't this amazing? So and also then you're part of the film in a way, when you can contribute to the film.
Yes, exactly. Everybody can contribute to the film. And yes, I mean, we do have financiers, but I mean, always they're welcome. More financiers, of course, are welcome. They want to invest in the film. It has an amazing return of investment. We have the sales forecasts that are really, really, really good. I was also blessed to be accepted among the 100 producers program for Largo, a commercial.
Congratulations.
Thank you. They help producers with their software. It's an AI program that analyzes the script, analyzes everything about the script, and you just have to upload your budget. You have to upload your script and modify your and upload your financial plan, and then you get to tweak it, right? So you can get your sales projections. Okay, if I make it with $25 million, how much will I sell? And if I put this much P&A, P&A is print delivery and advertising.
Oh, okay.
And so on. And what do I need to make it work? And again, business-wise, you just focus on what is it that will work the best for everyone, right? And it's an amazing program. I highly recommend it. And I'm very grateful that I got to be part of those 100 producers. And yes, it's a super beautiful film. It's so amazing when it's just the fact that it landed in my lap and that I had to go through all of these hoops. You have no idea. That's a total another interview for when the movie comes out later on.
I hope we can do an interview again because that would be so amazing. But now
Yeah.
I must just tell you that so many people who've made wishes on this channel, their wishes came true. So whatever your wish is now, it's going to come true. I believe that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So yes, my wish is that this film, Deep Echo, in which I work as an actress and producer, impacts the lives of so many generations to come. That truly educates about the beauties of our deep oceans and the life, protects the life below water, and that everybody that is involved in it benefits wonderfully, and we'll have so much fun creating this gorgeous project because it's gorgeous. The script is amazing. So thank you so much
Wonderful.
for
No, and I think it's so wonderful that it's something so positive, you know, when a film is made that's going to be there forever, then at least if it inspires and if it it has a meaning and it has something positive to give to society, then so much better, I think.
exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
most films, I mean, storytelling, there is this storytelling has been around forever and ever and ever. And there's this thing about stories that have been told over and over again in so many different ways. And then you just grab a piece of this story over here and a piece of this other story over here, and then you create new stories. And that's how films are, on and on and on. And books and the story on the Bibles, for example, and so
Yeah.
on, right? They're going on and on and on and on and on. And we all as humans go through challenges, we overcome, we go through challenges, we overcome, and we're happy, we laugh, and that's what it's all about. Just storytelling is so beautiful, and it's the glue that keeps us alive and keep us together,
Absolutely.
right? It's like,
Yeah.
look at this inventor creating this new artificial intelligence submersible. How fascinating it is. Look at what is happening. They're going to the bottom of the ocean in it. Wait, what? Did you hear the story? Let me go in there and support them.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yes.
Oh, Maggie, you are so inspirational. You have such a lovely energy, and it's so uplifting, and it's so wonderful to talk to you. Thank you so much for this interview. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
And you please write to me when we can talk about this film again, because that would be so amazing to see where this is going and when it's all finished and time for release.
Yes, for sure. For
It
that,
will
we need a lot of
happen.
support. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
gonna share the video because we still need a lot of support when it comes to
Okay.
that. It takes a
It will
huge build.
come. Yeah.
Yes, thank you
No, it will come.
for having me, and congratulations to all of the amazing artists that you have had,
Oh,
because I love their work, and thank you so much for doing this wonderful work, Petra. It's been amazing. Thank you.
it's a great pleasure, and thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And whenever you come to Vienna, you have to let me know so that I can meet you in person.
Yes, I can wait.
Yeah.
I can wait to visit Vienna.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Bye.
Maggie, have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you. And you too have a lovely night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.